Rosie the fairy lived in the Whispering Woods. It was a place where magic thrived, and every corner held a new wonder waiting to be discovered. The Whispering Woods was a magical place, filled with enchantment and mystery. The air was always thick with the scent of blooming flowers and the sound of rustling leaves. The trees whispered secrets to the wind, their ancient wisdom carried through the forest. Each tree had its own story, and Rosie loved to listen to their tales. Flowers bloomed with every giggle Rosie made. Her laughter was like a melody that brought life to the forest, making the flowers dance in delight. Her wings sparkled with fairy dust, shimmering in the sunlight. They were a beautiful sight, reflecting the magic that flowed through her veins. Every day felt like an adventure. Rosie would explore new paths, discover hidden nooks, and meet new friends. The forest was her playground, and she loved every moment of it.
I love to explore. There's always something new to see, something new to learn. The forest is full of surprises. I know every inch of these woods, every tree, every flower, every stream. They are all a part of me, and I am a part of them. I've made friends with all the animals. The birds sing to me, the deer greet me with gentle nods, and the rabbits hop around my feet. The bunnies hop alongside me, and the squirrels chatter from the branches. They are my companions, my friends. The Whispering Woods are my home. They are where I belong, where I feel most alive.
One day, Rosie heard a strange sound. It was unlike anything she had ever heard before. It was a soft whimper, like a tiny sob. It tugged at her heart, and she knew she had to find out who was making that sound. Rosie followed the sound. She wanted to help whoever was sad. She flew through the forest, her wings carrying her swiftly towards the source of the sound. She flew past the babbling brook and over a bed of mushrooms. What would she find? Her heart raced with anticipation as she drew closer to the sound. She knew that whatever it was, she would do everything in her power to help. The whimpering grew louder. Rosie peeked behind a mossy log. There, curled up in a ball, was a baby dragon. He was tiny, with shimmering green scales, but his fire was just a flicker. He looked lost and scared. The little dragon jumped. He looked at Rosie with big, watery eyes. S1, hello.
Don't worry, Ember. I know these woods like the back of my hand. We'll find your home together. Narrator. Rosie's heart melted. She knew she had to help him. S2. Ember. I can't find my way home. S1. Don't be afraid. I'm Rosie. What's your name?
Rosie and Ember set off through the forest. The air was crisp and filled with the scent of pine and earth. Each step they took was accompanied by the soft rustling of leaves underfoot. Sunlight dappled through the leaves, creating a mosaic of light and shadow on the forest floor. Birds sang cheerful songs, their melodies weaving through the trees like a gentle breeze. But Ember still looked sad. His usually bright eyes were clouded with worry, and his wings drooped slightly as he walked. Rosie wanted to cheer him up. She knew that a little bit of magic could go a long way in lifting spirits. She sprinkled him with fairy dust, the tiny sparkles dancing in the air before settling on Ember's scales. He giggled as it tickled his nose, a sound that echoed through the forest and brought a smile to Rosie's face. They met a family of deer grazing peacefully in a sunlit clearing. The deer lifted their heads, curious but unafraid. The fawns frolicked around Ember, their playful antics bringing a sparkle back to his eyes. He forgot his troubles and played, chasing the fawns and laughing as they darted around him. He even puffed a tiny puff of smoke, a playful gesture that made the deer snort in amusement. The deer weren't scared. They sensed his gentle nature. They knew Ember was a gentle dragon, one who would never harm them. Their trust made Ember feel warm inside. Rosie and Ember walked for a long time, the path winding through the heart of the forest. They talked about their dreams and fears, sharing stories and laughter. They crossed a babbling brook, its clear waters sparkling in the sunlight, and a field of wildflowers that swayed gently in the breeze. Ember learned the names of all the animals they met, from the tiniest insects to the majestic deer. Each new friend brought a new story and a new lesson. He even made friends with a grumpy badger, who, despite his initial reluctance, warmed up to Ember's kind heart. The badger shared tales of the forest, teaching Ember about the delicate balance of nature. As the day drew to a close, Rosie and Ember found a large tree to rest under. They sat in its shade, watching the forest come alive with the colors of the setting sun. When night fell, they gazed up at the stars, feeling a sense of peace and belonging. The forest, with all its magic and wonder, had become their home. As the sun began to set, Rosie and Ember reached a tall oak tree. In its branches sat a wise old owl named Hoot. Hoot had seen many seasons come and go. He knew the forest's secrets. Hoot blinked his big, round eyes. S1. Excuse me, Hoot. We need your help. Can you tell us how to find the Dragon Caves?
Follow the setting sun. When you reach the Crystal Falls, you'll find the path to the Dragon Caves.
Rosie and Ember thanked Hoot and continued on their way. The setting sun painted the sky in shades of pink and orange. Rosie and Ember arrived at the Crystal Falls. Water cascaded down shimmering rocks. It was a beautiful sight, but there was no path in sight.
Excuse me, do you know the way to the Dragon Caves?
Rosie spotted a sleepy snail munching on a leaf. The snail pointed a slimy tentacle towards a narrow path hidden behind the waterfall. Rosie said with a smile. She knew even the smallest creatures could offer help. S1. Thank you. The path behind the waterfall was steep and rocky. Ember started to worry.
What if we fall?
Rosie's words gave Ember courage. He took a deep breath and started to climb. Rosie flew beside him, encouraging him every step of the way. They climbed higher and higher, the roar of the waterfall echoing around them. Finally, they reached the top. Ember let out a puff of smoke, relieved and proud. He had faced his fear and succeeded. From their vantage point, they could see the Dragon Caves in the distance. S1. Don't worry, Ember. We can do this together. The Dragon Caves glowed with a warm, inviting light. As Rosie and Ember drew closer, they heard the sound of roaring fire and happy chatter.
I can't wait to be home.
Ember started to run. A large green dragon with kind eyes rushed towards them. Ember nuzzled his mother's snout, happy to be safe. The other dragons gathered around. They thanked Rosie for bringing Ember home. They'd been so worried about their littlest dragon. S5. Ember, we were so worried.
Rosie, this is my family and friends.
The caves echoed with laughter and warmth. Rosie felt a warmth spread through her heart. It wasn't the heat from the dragon's fire. It was something much deeper, something that made her feel truly alive and connected. It was the warmth of friendship and kindness. She realized that helping others, even those who were different from her, brought the greatest joy. The dragons, with their majestic presence and gentle hearts, had shown her a new world. Even if they were different, brought the greatest joy. Rosie understood that true happiness came from these connections, from the bonds that tied them together in this magical realm.
Come on, Rosie, let's play! The baby dragons' voices were filled with excitement and joy, their eyes sparkling with the promise of adventure.
Ember and the other dragon children played games with Rosie. They soared through the air, weaving through the trees and diving into the crystal-clear waters of the enchanted forest. Their laughter echoed through the caves, a symphony of pure joy, their laughter echoing through the caves. Rosie had never felt so happy. She knew she had found a friend in Ember. The bond they shared was special, forged in the fires of adventure and the magic of the forest.
I'll visit you again soon, Ember. Rosie's voice was filled with promise and excitement, knowing that this was just the beginning of their adventures together.
As the stars twinkled outside, casting a gentle glow over the magical forest, Rosie felt a sense of peace and contentment. The night was alive with the sounds of the forest, a lullaby that promised sweet dreams and new adventures. It was time for Rosie to go. The dragons gave her a warm farewell, their eyes filled with the promise of future meetings. They knew this was not a goodbye, but a see you soon, their scales shimmering in the firelight. The magical glow of the fire reflected off their scales, creating a mesmerizing dance of light and color. Rosie knew she would carry this memory with her forever, a reminder of the magic of friendship and the adventures that awaited her in this enchanted world. Ember walked Rosie outside. He looked sad to see her go.
Thank you, Rosie, for everything.
You're welcome, Ember. I'm glad we're friends.
Rosie spread her wings and rose into the night sky. She looked back at the Dragon Caves, her heart full of warmth. She knew she would never forget her adventure with Ember. Rosie flew back through the whispering woods, her heart singing. She had discovered that true bravery was helping those in need, no matter how small, and true kindness could create the strongest bonds of friendship. The forest felt even more magical now. Every rustle of leaves, every chirp of a cricket held the promise of new adventures. And Rosie, with her kind heart and adventurous spirit, was ready to embrace them all. The end.